Hi guys, we're back here with the RCA 87T. I fitted a power cord, a replacement. This one is brown like the original, but it has a different kind of a end on it. It looks more modern. But I don't have any of the plain older looking plugs, so this will do. I don't really care what the plug end looks like. I did manage to save the original grommet here. It was actually molded on the end of the original cord, but I cut it off and pulled the metal pieces out, and then I ran my drill in there and reamed out some of the plastic so that the new cord fit through. But of course it's not molded on there, so I tied a knot on the inside just so you won't put a lot of stress on these joints here. And I kind of forgot about this cap right here, because it doesn't really look like a cap. It's kind of I imagine it's mica squeezed between paper or phenolic, and according to the schematic there's actually a cap in parallel with this coil, so I'm going to guess that it's down inside between the two ends, so that one might be a little tricky. This cap and coil here are these two guys right here, and they're on the incoming antenna terminals, which are right here, and these two screws are stripped, so we're going to have to do something to fix that. I have some old screw terminal boards from an old blonder tongue amplifier, television amplifier. It was like a distribution amp, and I think I saved them, so maybe I can take the actual screw and the back piece out of the phenolic and replace them in this. I don't know yet, but they had a big washer on this one and it made it look all ugly, and it's because it's stripped. So we're going to see if we can't fix that also. But we're going to work on this cap here too. This one here shouldn't be too hard to replace. I did order it. The ones that have lines through it were ordered, or at least written down. I did have a line through this one, which is the one that I forgot to replace that guy. But it's on its way. It'll be here next Thursday, according to the UPS site. So we will have those parts, and we'll have some wire to replace some of this terrible, well, these two here aren't too bad, but this one here is falling apart, and there's a couple others down in here that are just crumbling. This one here. So we'll get the wiring to replace that. I did take the volume pot apart. This is a replacement, I think. It looks more modern, and the end of it's a little boogered up where you can see they filed it so that the knob would fit. So this radio has had a few repairs. The one cap was a replacement, the short one. The volume pot's been replaced. And I think there was one capacitor that was replaced. I think this guy right here was a newer one, either this one or this one. There was one in this area that was a newer one. But anyway, we will continue on with the RCA. Alright, we got the little cap out here, and it actually tests fairly good. It's testing about 135 picofarads, and it's supposed to be a 150. So it is working, but I'm going to replace it just because it looks like it could, get moisture in it or whatever and mess up. And I bought a replacement for it anyway, so I might as well put it in. And then I'm going to take out this coil and see if I can get a better look at it and see if there's a cap inside of it, and how difficult that will be to fix. Alright, we've got the one cap replaced, and I've got the coil out, and that looks like this. And there is in fact a mica capacitor inside the coil form. So I very, very carefully unsoldered these hair sized wires from the capacitor leads, and we're going to pull that out of there and put the replacement in. So these wires are extremely fine. There's three or four strands that form this coil and come off each side, and they're very, very fine wire, and you got to be real careful because they'll break, and then it would be very difficult to repair this. So we're going to yank that out of there and see what it looks like. Alright, I've heated up the wax with the soldering iron and melted most of it out. Well, there it is. There it is. So now we can just replace that and we ought to be all set. Alright, there's the completed coil repair. I got my new 400 picofarad cap inside there. I melted a little bit of wax in there from an old candle to hold it, although I bent the leads so that it fit in there fairly tight. It actually wouldn't fall out anyway, but melted a little wax in there just to make it look more original. Resoldered the leads and melted a little wax over them just to protect them, I think is why they did that, just so that they don't get, because they're quite fragile. You don't want them to get ripped out. So we'll get this mounted back in there, right in here. Oop, get my camera over here. Right in here, and yeah, then that part will be done. Alright, we've got the antenna terminal rebuilt, and 3 matching screws mounted. These are the old pieces that were in there. This one was only like half stripped out. It was the one here on the left, and this one was the actual antenna terminal, and this one was completely stripped out. And what I did was I took one of these, which came off from that Blonder Tongue line amplifier, excuse me, and stripped it, and I actually cut the Bakelite because it's awful hard to get these little tabs bent over so that you can get those out. So I actually cut the Bakelite and broke it out and cleaned them all up, squeezed the tabs together and pushed them in here. These I just took a screwdriver and put on the edge of the tab and pounded it with the hammer and bent them down so that they'd come out. Put the new ones into the hole one at a time. I did the center one here first, and then this one, and then I put this nut on the face without the screw in there and just squeezed it with a pair of pliers, because there's a little tab here that sticks out to catch the wire. So I just used this nut for a spacer so I wouldn't mangle up that little tab, just like that, and then squeezed it and crimped those tabs, or crimped the little ears back over on the back side, and so now it's all mounted right up. So throw those out, and the eye tube was loose in this bracket. I would imagine there was some kind of black rubber grommet or something that held that was gone when I got the set. So I took a piece of clear Tygon tubing, 2 pieces actually, one on the bottom and one on the top, and I split it and put it on there, and then clamped it in there. Now it doesn't move. You can twist it, I can turn it to adjust it once I get the set turned on and working so that the eye is straight, but it doesn't rattle around and it doesn't fall out. And then this is just a phenolic sleeve to keep the dial light out of the eye so that you can see the eye better. And while I was out looking for the Tygon tubing in the barn, I discovered some high voltage wiring. This is actually from probably about 8 years ago at a plant I worked at. They were cleaning up a bunch of old ballasts and throwing them out, and I thought, well, that's kind of nice wire. It's solid. Some of it's copper, some of it's tin, tin plated or whatever. And I figured, well, it's high voltage, I ought to save some. And I found it out in the barn. So I'm actually going to use this to replace wiring like here, because this is solid wire and it's rubber covered. And this is plastic covered, but it's most of it's 1000 volt rated, some of it's 600. But it should work excellent in repairing the old radios. and I still will use some of the cloth wire, you know, to replace. This set's in good shape, but sometimes the speaker wires are in really bad shape, or this one has the eye tube, has cloth wiring, or even some of these grid caps, the wiring could get pretty brittle. These aren't too bad, so I'm going to leave those. But I am going to use some of this wire here to replace the rubber wiring that's messed up underneath the chassis, and this one here that comes up to the tuning cap. So I'm going to get on with that, and maybe we can test this set out. I've probably got a capacitor that I can put in there for this one, just so that the eye might operate temporarily, and then when the new cap gets here, of course I'll install that. But I'd like to see how well the set works and maybe do an alignment on it, so we will see here. I'll get some of this wiring replaced and see what happens. Alright guys, it's time for the smoke check and to test the wiring I've done. I replaced some of the rubber covered wiring underneath the chassis. I did not replace these two because they're not touching anything, or well, they can't touch anything. And there's a couple other ones. There's actually a black one that runs up here to the volume knob that's in surprisingly good shape. The rubber's actually quite pliable, so I left that one alone. I'm connected across the first filter cap in the power supply with my VTVM, and I've got it plugged into the Variac. So we're going to, say it's off, we're going to fire up the Variac. No dim bulb test because I already checked the transformer. You know, I've had it running once before, before the recap. So turn the power switch on, and we'll bring this up to like 50 volts or so. That's about 50 right there. You can see we got slight glow of the dial lamps. And we got about, let's see, we got about, it's dropping as the tubes are starting to conduct. Well, we got about, on the 150 volt scale, we're at about 40 volts DC right there. I actually have my meter connected backwards across the capacitor. I put the positive lead on the negative side of the capacitor, so I had to put the meter on minus. But it is correct, it is the right polarity. We're running about 40 volts. I see no smoke. So let's take it up to about 75. Okay, now the DC voltage is coming up. We got about 200 volts DC, 225. No smoke. That's always a good thing. The dial's lit up pretty good. I don't hear any sounds. I do have this jumper shut like it's supposed to be. Alright, I guess we will probably disconnect the meter since everything seems to be alright, and turn the chassis down the right way and see what we get. Alright, we've got her hooked up and set back over here the right way. So we're going to turn this up to about 100 volts. Put it on broadcast. I hear sound, and I see the tuning eye. It's quite dim. I'm not hearing many stations at all.
CNN Radio. At the top of our holiday wish list, more time to cross stuff off our lists. Hurry into Sears Auto Center this Friday and Saturday to save on all Michelin and Bridgestone tires with an extra $70 via mail-in rebate on 4 qualifying Michelin tires.
Okay, so the tone works.
For just $21.99 with throw in a Sears coupon. Protect the rest of your holiday shopping list while you wait. Go to SearsAuto.com. Real convenience for real drivers. Sears Auto Center. Save the coupon. Visit 1251. Exclusive price before retail.
Okay, that's 1400. That's the closest station to me. And it comes in, but not very well. So I'm going to say it needs an alignment. Now we're going to do a operations check after aligning the RCA 87T. I'm going to turn this light off so we can see the tuning eye. It is a little weak, but it does operate. So we'll switch it on here.
Anyway, thank you guys for being here, and you're listening to the Internet Advisor Overtime, just before the big game. Gary Baker and Ed Riddell in house. Guys, we were talking with David, who is with us from White Lake, about PS3 not connecting to the Internet. And Dave, I think Ed may have stumbled on something for you.
Yeah, I don't have personally a PS3, but I've helped a lot of people connect to wireless networks with various devices. And it looks like the PS3, it may be the number of types of wireless protocols it supports. You said that you typed in a 16 or 18 digit.
18 digit. Let me get back to this, okay?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so you can see the tuning eye works. It doesn't have a great opening when it should be open a lot wider when there's no channel. But
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
A lot of response to that. Just plain forgot.
WCBS News Time, 621. The county police located an elderly New Jersey couple this morning who had been reported missing for 24 hours. I know we're going to get back into talking about relationship with your advisors and making sure that we explain that, but take...
Would have failed in
something new, but every day's a holiday when I'm near to you. Oh, the lights on my tree.
The state is leading James Madison in the Fargo Dome in the third, 16-7, and Townsend and Lehigh.
alright, so let's try one of the shortwave bands. Let's do medium. I wasn't able to align them because my generator doesn't go high enough, but they were working a little bit before. We'll see if they still pick up anything. I guess he picks up a lot of channels.
You see around you, you named it there. The rest of all it says for me. That old tiger.
C'était même élu. Il y avait des circonscriptions à travers le monde et il y a, genre, je pense qu'on avait 4 députés dans le Parlement. Et c'est une expérience malheureusement qui n'a pas été concluante. World.
This is the medium band. Okay, let's do shortwave.
Ahora que se aproxima el invierno.
The gesture had just went out.
There's somebody sending some Morse codes or something. It sounds like a clock.
Y ahora vámonos a transitar por el mundo artístico de la mano de Víctor Suárez.
El puertorriqueño Don Omar dice tener planes
distribuídos. Comeram e se fartaram. E dos pedaços. 4.000 homens. Então Jesus os despediu.
Exodus 32, but I went.
So it actually works pretty well. Picks up a lot of channels, shortwave, medium wave, and broadcast. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to look into figuring out if I can make the eye tube work a little better. But maybe it won't. Maybe it doesn't spread any farther than that. I don't know. But anyway, it's operational. I guess it's on to the cabinet until the rest of the parts get here. So thanks for watching and tune in next time.